Hello and welcome to my podcast. This is SoulEnlightened and I am Naomi. And I'm so grateful to be here, to be present, and to be who I am. Now, while who I am is more concrete now, it wasn't always concrete. And even if it feels solid now, I know that I'll grow and I'll expand and I'll become. And there is no real reason to stay stagnant in any shape or form. Now, while that may be the case, when it comes to my life and how I wish to see it, I often find that the answer lies within my inner child. Now, I am a big advocate for inner child healing. I think it is utterly important, especially if we want to understand our passions and our purpose. And this is because we are born into the world knowing exactly who we wish to be. And then it is drilled out of us by society, by our family, by our friends, by trauma, and just by forgetting it over time. I remember so many instances where I knew my purpose and I would have done anything to make it happen. Then as I got older and I started moving with society, I became more obsessed with my looks. I started focusing on how other people saw me instead of how I saw me. And I started thinking that the person I was at that point in time was all I could be, forgetting every ounce of being I had before those moments. Often who we are is slowly but surely taken away from us. And this is where I hope, and I pray, and I take action to help bring others back to themselves. It's that inner child that knew exactly what their passions were, their purpose was. So with that being said, an instance of this is when I was a very young girl, maybe 3 or 4. I remember sitting on a bus with my mother, and as I was sitting there and I was just listening to the bus, listening to the people on it, looking out the window, I noticed this lady really sad behind me. Not because she was sighing in a sad way or she was talking to somebody and I could just tell she was sad. It was purely by her energy alone that I knew she needed a little bit of help that day. She needed someone to remind her that it was okay to smile and that hard times would pass. And I gauged all of this just by feeling her energy, as I was always very attuned to other people's energy, not because of trauma, but a gift I was born with. So I turned around and I looked at her, putting my hands on top of the seat, then having my eyes peep over like a black cat. And then I just started talking. I started telling her about how nice she was, how beautiful she was, just how much I loved everything about her. And I would ramble on and on and on, and I would talk about my mother and how awesome I thought she was, and I would talk about my siblings and how awesome I thought they were. And she went from looking very sad to very, very happy. And she looked at my mother and she said, "She has such a beautiful soul. You are blessed with this child." And my mom, bless her heart, pulled me off from the seat and put me in her lap and said, "I know. She really is the shining light. She really is my angel. but she has a habit to talk a lot. Oftentimes, I can never get her to be quiet. And the lady laughed and looked at my mother and said, no, her voice is really meant for this world. She should never be quiet. She has a lot to say, and she has really good things to say. I bet you we'll probably see her on TV one day. And my mom laughed it off. She often thought that I talked too much, as everyone in my family did. They would often ignore me, thinking that I had nothing good to say. And because of this, I often felt like I lacked any actual relationship with anybody. That nobody would ever want to truly be present with me. And so I started using this beautiful power of being able to feel other people's emotions to try to pinpoint the bad ones, to try to pinpoint when people would think I was talking too much, to pinpoint when people didn't want to be around me. This beautiful power that I used to help somebody started to be used against me in my own mind. Now, this is no fault of the people around me. They didn't know the power I had. They didn't know how they were affecting me. We often don't realize how we live in our own worlds. That in our brain, it seems dominant, our thoughts. But in reality, oftentimes, it's the smallest actions that mean the most to people. So when people actually listen to me, it always felt like this grand gesture, not something that I deserved innately. It led me down a lot of many wrong paths, but eventually I found my voice, and I found my power, and I started using it again in a way that resonated with that inner child. But as I grew up, and as I did go through very traumatic experiences, there were many instances where I would look up at the sky and I would think of a future version of me. And I would hope and pray that she knew that she shouldn't give up, that I was cheering her on from years in the past, willing to do anything to make my dream a reality. And now I stand here as the adult I imagined myself to be, exactly on the right path I had hoped I would be on, creating the life I desire. I'm finding my power again. I'm finding my voice again. And I'm finding that version of me that never gave up, that believed the future I desire now could be a reality and was willing to do anything to make it a reality. And that version of me gives me strength every single day. The power of your inner child is the very creator of worlds. We are the creator of worlds just as our universe is. And that power we have within all of us can be accessed. I can always give some tips and tricks of how to get there. But in the end, it really is about our own experiences. And I can only share mine and hope that in sharing it, it helps somebody else find out their own way, and their own passions, and their own purpose. So as you move through your life and you strive to discover who you are again, know you will. And while life may be short, as long as you can truly know that on the day you die, you will have no regrets about the person you are and how far you have come. And that is truly all there is. Live life as you see fit. Because in the end, the only people who are truly deserving of seeing our own happiness manifest is ourselves, and the inner child of ourselves that wish nothing more than for that to happen. We all deserve happiness, and I hope you reach it. Thank you for listening. I look forward to speaking with you again on Wednesday. Have an amazing day.